But I got the name of somebody right here. I had to go grab lunch, and so I went down to the Subway down the street. And I prayed too this morning that God would bless and use us today. But when I went into Subway, this young man was standing right there, and he says, "Do you have any money that I can buy a sandwich? Or do you have any cash?" He said, "Do you have any cash? I can get something to eat." And I said, I don't have anything on me." And I went in, and I could still see his just terribly sad face. So I turned right around and I said, "Hey," I said, "I got a credit card if you want a sandwich. You can get a sandwich." So he came in and got a sandwich, and I said, "Do you want to eat with me?" He said, "Sure."
Wow.
So we,
Amen.
he sat down, and we had our sandwiches together there in Subway, and I got to listen to his story, and it just broke my heart. I mean, it was probably a representation of what a lot is in this city. You know, I mean, at one part of the conversation, I said, "Do you have faith?" He said, "Oh yeah." I said, "I got faith." He says, I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, I could be way worse off." He says,
Mercy.
"You know, he slept outside last night. He starting at 3 years old, his parents abandoned him. He's been in foster care homes ever since. He's 18, so he has some uncles and aunts, but he doesn't really know where he belongs."
Wow.
And but he was thankful. He said, "Oh yeah, I have faith." He said, I said, "Why?" He says, "Well, it could be way worse." He says, "You know, I could be addicted to drugs and alcohol and ruining my life." He says, "I'm not there." So, and you know, I look at his hands, and I couldn't tell what was on the side, but just his hands were dirty. You know, and so, anyways, I got his contact information and prayed with him and left him some blow tracks. And I said, "Why don't you hop in the car with me?" So I took him down here to the church and was showing him the church just on the corner. I think he's gonna come tomorrow. You can pray that he does. So I invite him to church. here.
Amen.
And then I took him. I asked him if he needed a ride to where he was going. I took him. But Vera, you wanna share what you were telling me a minute ago about your perception of the city here?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that, well, this is my first time in Chicago, and it is so, I haven't seen such a warfare. I mean, literal spiritual battle. Here are precious souls of God's children. And, you know, you're walking through the neighborhoods, and you just see it's so, everything is wasted. You know, the ground is all matted up with weeds and trash and, you know, drugs all over the place. And I was just telling Pastor Joe, I was like, man, the enemy has his people chained. Like chained in their bondage, you know, whatever they're going through. And so it really, like, to think how the heart of God must be so broken as he's seeing his children just suffering, you know, and here God has given us the privilege to come here. And then I was telling him, I was like, you know what? People don't have to go overseas for mission trips. There's like right here is a true mission trip you can take in America, you know? And people need to know this. And I was telling him, I was like, as Christians and then as Seventh-day Adventist Christians, we need to stop complaining. Like, come out here, look at what people are going through. And, you know, as we go back, we can tell people that, you know, when you start complaining, let's go to Chicago and let's go to the inner city and see what people are going through. You know, and so I just was humbled, you know, to be a part of this experience today. My heart has just been like pleading, like, God, your blood was shed for these souls. You know, and so grateful that we could be here.
I was thinking, you know, we complain because we sleep on the
Mercy.
floor here when we come to the mission trip, but
People are
at
sleeping
least
in
we
the
have
So way
to-
back,
at
we're
least we
seeing
didn't have
people
to sleep
sleeping
outside
on
last
the
night.
bridge.
Yeah.